Do you think Big Meech ever told on someone to get out of trouble? Let me tell you why I do not think that is true. Big Meech's paperwork is public, and there is no proof that he ever helped the authorities or gave up anyone. To be honest, when he got to that prison, he had some people with BMF tattoos on their necks who I never thought would be part of that. But here I am, serving a 27-year sentence because of Demetrius Flannery, also known as Big Meech and Tammy Cowens. In the paperwork, Tammy Cowens is called CS1, which means Confidential Source 1. What Big Meech did was work with a third party. Tammy Cowens is a government informant. They told me that Big Meech said, "You know what this is about?" And I said, "No." Then they told me, "You threatened a government informant, and that is a federal crime." Welcome to Star Spill, where Hollywood secrets are revealed, scandals happen, and the drama never stops. Before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you do not miss any updates. Now, let's jump in. Taryn "Gangsta" Williams, who is locked up with Big Meech, is stepping forward and shutting down 50 Cent's claims that Meech snitched. Gangsta says that calling someone a rat in this industry is all about politics, and they only choose certain people to label that way. Gangsta has been saying this since he got out. He is making it clear that Meech was not just another inmate. He ran the entire prison with respect. Now, people are starting to question 50 Cent's story. Did Meech really work with the feds? Or is 50 Cent just upset because Meech worked with Rick Ross? Gangsta recently shared some big revelations about Meech's time behind bars, and it is shaking things up. In an old interview that resurfaced, the New Orleans street figure explained that Meech had the entire prison following him like a leader. Big Meech really had that kind of power. Nobody is getting any connections from me. I am not helping anyone out with anything. I am not doing anything for anyone. When all of you go home, that is your business. People would try to get close to him just to be part of the game, but I made it clear that I have nothing to offer anyone. I am just doing my time in jail, that is all. I remember clearly, after lunch, about 25 guys would go to the rec yard with Big Meech. They would take over the weight room, work out, and hit the weights. It was their routine, and they were all focused on staying in shape. After that, Big Meech would go around, and whoever had the wine, he would help them bottle it up. Whoever was cooking food, he would help wrap it up. Then, he would just relax in his cell or hang out with people, telling stories about life on the streets. He was a really good and humble person. According to Gangsta, Meech was the kind of guy who could walk onto any yard and take control without even trying. His influence was that strong. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Meech actually had the chance to escape. Let us talk about what happened last night. If we follow the rules in prison, Big Meech did not sit down with the authorities and say, "Hey, my bro is going to set someone up for me, so make sure you give me the credit." There is no paperwork that shows he said anything like that. On top of that, Gangsta took a shot at people in the industry, like 50 Cent, calling them out for picking and choosing who they call snitches. To really understand where all these snitching rumors are coming from, we need to look back at the rise and fall of BMF, the empire that took over the streets and eventually led to Big Meech getting a 30-year sentence. Now, here's the shocking part. Meech actually had the chance to escape the country and avoid prison time completely. But instead of running, Meech made a choice that surprised everyone. He stayed. Let us go back to where it all started. The Black Mafia family, BMF, was built from the ground up in 1985 in southwest Detroit by two ambitious brothers, Demetrius, Big Meech Flannery, and Terry, Southwest T. Flannery. Everywhere we went, whether it was in LA, Atlanta, or Detroit, we had our own homes. We never had to rent anything. We owned our houses, our cars, and our clothes. We had everything we needed, and no one could stop us. I never saw anyone in our way. No one could come after us either. Nobody. I do not think anyone will ever do something like this again because this much money and power cannot be earned alone. But it was not just about ambition. BMF had a direct connection to top-quality Mexican cocaine, and with that powerful link, they quickly rose to the top. They used a family-run car service to move large amounts of drugs across the country. By the early 2000s, BMF controlled the streets, the clubs, and even the music industry. They were not just moving drugs, they were running a full entertainment empire as a cover. At their peak, the organization had more than 500 members making big moves across the country. But Meech and Southwest T did not just take over, they fought for it. They survived turf wars, deadly rivalries, and betrayals. The lifestyle took a heavy toll on them. Back in the late 80s, T took a bullet to the right eye, leaving him partially blind for life. Meech got shot twice, once in the neck outside a Chinese restaurant in the 80s and again in 2004 outside an Atlanta club, where he was shot in the back. The streets were not easy. We were at Club Chaos one night, and one of Meech's friends, Wolf, was there. Meech and Wolf knew each other because Wolf used to be Puffy's bodyguard, and Puffy and Meech were close. Wolf's ex-girlfriend was with him, but she was not with Meech. She was standing on the back wall. Wolf reached past Meech and pushed her, and Meech immediately stepped in. He told Wolf, "Whatever issues you have with her, you can handle that privately. But if she is standing here with me, I cannot let you disrespect her like that." This led to a heated argument, which soon turned physical. Wolf was thrown out of the club. Later, Demetrius and his bodyguard, Bull Height, were on their way to their car when they ran into Wolf and RZ Gertie, who were waiting for them with guns drawn. Wolf started shooting and chaos broke out. Gunshots were coming from everywhere. The police were not sure what caused the violence, but witnesses said dozens of bullets flew near the intersection of East Pakva and Bowling Way. After everything calmed down, we all met up at the house. It was still not a big deal. Meech was leaning on the counter, laughing, because we were all really drunk. He said, "Man, Yogi, my ass is burning." I looked at him and asked, "What?" He said, "I think I got shot in the ass." And sure enough, after the second shooting, we found out he had been hit. It all happened after a heated argument with Anthony Wolf Jones, Diddy's former bodyguard. Meech walked away with just minor injuries, but Wolf and another man were not so lucky. They were taken out on the spot. After that, Meech arranged a commercial flight for hundreds of people, including me, to get out of there. Meech paid for everyone. It turned into a full-on party in the sky. If you have seen the movie Soul Plane, it was kind of like that. Everyone was having a great time, and Meech made sure everything was set up for us. Everything was ready for us to enjoy and party. It felt like we were on top of the world. But BMF was not just about street politics or the empire they built in secret. They lived very large, and I mean really large. They owned 13 multi-million-dollar mansions across the country. Their garages were full of the most expensive foreign cars. Their closets were packed with designer clothes from head to toe. They even had a direct line to Jacob the jeweler for the most sparkling custom pieces money could buy. One day, I found out something about T. He was cutting the product. T would take 4 ounces out of each key. So, he would take 100 bricks and turn it into 120 bricks. He had to break everything down, press it, and put it back together. I had never done anything like that before. Meech always said he was street rich for real. Then, in the year 2000, Meech decided he wanted something even bigger, the music industry. He started BMF Entertainment, and with his flashy lifestyle, natural charm, and strong connections, he easily stepped into the hip-hop world, which was all about money, power, and status. He was right there when everything started to change. They were planning huge parties, bringing in live tigers, lions, and elephants, things people had never seen before. You could say whatever you wanted, but no one had ever experienced anything like that. It was a whole new level of entertainment, and Meech was right in the middle of it. Back in the day, if you were a big name in rap, you were rolling with Meech. People like Diddy, Jay-Z, T.I., Jeezy, and 50 Cent all hung out with Big Meech. His legendary moves are still talked about like crazy stories. Meech did not just show up at places, he made an entrance. He would roll into clubs with a big group of people, take over the VIP sections like they were his, and even do wild things like parking his Maybach right next to Jay-Z's just to make a statement. But that was not even the craziest thing. One of the wildest stories still talked about is Meech's jungle-themed birthday party at Magic City. He took things to a whole new level by bringing 2 white tigers into the club. Yes, real tigers, in the middle of the party. When Meech and Southwest T split up to run BMF from different places, it helped their empire grow, but it also started to tear things apart. T did not like Meech's flashy lifestyle and began talking about it to family and close friends. What he did not know was that the feds were listening to every word. Later, the U.S. Marshals arrested two men, Ernest Dennis and Jonathan Monago, outside a hotel in Buckhead, Atlanta. Both men were connected to BMF, and the authorities said they had a long criminal history. They also said BMF was heavily involved in drug trafficking. Meech had been in Atlanta since at least 2004. During this time, federal agents found a limo with hidden compartments that had nearly $1 million inside. Meanwhile, Meech continued to live like royalty, spending millions on huge parties without worrying about anything. But here's where it gets serious. While Meech was throwing these crazy parties, undercover officers were right there in the crowd, watching his every move. They were not there just to have fun. They were gathering evidence and waiting for the right moment to take him down. Meech later said, "If I only cared about myself, I could have taken a bunch of money and disappeared somewhere where no one could find me. But that was not my plan. I had already done the illegal stuff to the fullest. Now, I wanted to make myself and my family legal. I was 37 years old when they arrested me, and I was already starting to slow down. I was getting tired. But when you are the face of the family, you have to carry that weight." By the time Meech turned 37, he admitted he was starting to feel tired. He said, "I had been doing this for so long, and even though I was still living large, partying, smoking, drinking, making money, and driving nice cars, I was beginning to slow down. I was doing everything I could to make the family successful and make everything we did look big." After 15 years of constant investigation, the feds, local task forces, and even the IRS finally decided it was time to act. They had collected over 900 pages of wiretaps, and it was clear they were ready to take him down. The authorities had everything they needed to bring down BMF: statements from informants, financial records, and constant surveillance. In 2005, the federal agents made their move. They arrested Big Meech and Southwest T, along with 150 other members of BMF. Just like that, one of the biggest street empires in hip-hop history came to an end. Before the feds even took action, BMF saw the storm coming. Demetrius, Big Meech, Flenory, and his brother Terry were running one of the largest operations in the country in the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. They had hundreds of people working for them, made millions of dollars, and even started a successful record label and magazine. But in 2006, they were both charged in a federal RICO case in Georgia. BMF became the first group to be called both a criminal organization and a record label. Attorney Josh Schiffer spoke highly of Demetrius, also known as Big Meech. He never took a deal or snitched on his partners. Even though he faced a 30-year sentence, he stood strong. In 2020, Terry Flenory was released, and just this week, Big Meech was released too. He will serve the rest of his time at a halfway house in Miami. While Southwest T was arrested first, Big Meech had a chance to escape. He could have run and disappeared into Mexico. The authorities came down hard on BMF, charging the Flenory brothers under a law made for taking down major drug leaders. Both Meech and Terry pled guilty, and they were both sentenced to 30 years in prison. But then, the pandemic changed things. In 2020, Terry caught a break and was released early because of concerns over COVID-19. He served the rest of his sentence under house arrest. Meech, on the other hand, did not have the same luck. He tried to get released for health reasons, but the courts did not approve his request. After spending nearly 20 years in prison, everything changed for Big Meech in October 2024. He was finally let out, but with one condition. He was not completely free. Meech had to go to a halfway house to finish his sentence. Even though the Flenory brothers were locked up, the BMF story did not end. It became even bigger. The name BMF lived on, remembered in music, fashion, and interviews. Even after all the trouble, Big Meech's story still captured the attention of many. Big Meech's story became a huge part of pop culture. It all began in 2010 when the book BMF, The Rise and Fall of Big Meech and the Black Mafia Family by Mara H. came out. That same year, Rick Ross released his popular song BMF, Blowing Money Fast, which talked about Meech's flashy lifestyle and helped make his name famous in hip-hop. By 2020, the BMF name grew even bigger. Thanks to the power of the movement, 50 Cent and Stars made a show about Meech's rise to power. The twist? Big Meech's own son, Lil Meech, played his father in the show, and it became a huge success. The show was followed by an 8-hour documentary series in 2022 called BMF, Blow Money Fast. By 2023, 50 Cent had even bigger plans, announcing 3 spin-off shows and a 3rd season of the main series. But just when it seemed like Big Meech's legacy was reaching new heights, one photo changed everything. After Meech got out of prison, he took a picture with Rick Ross. The photo went viral, and people went crazy. This sparked an old beef between Meech and 50 Cent. 50 Cent quickly accused Meech of snitching, and he claimed the BMF show would be cancelled. What began as a celebration of Meech's life quickly turned into another round of drama. Meech, however, is not getting into a back and forth with 50 Cent. He made it clear that he has never told on anyone in his life. But 50 Cent is not backing down.